So sometimes I wonder if life is more valuable to a person if it's only their own life. That's what I'm wondering when I'm reading through these new documents I got from the Florida Department of Corrections. About Stephan Sterns. Now, you guys remember Stephan Sterns? He was the controversial guy who did some bad things to his so-called stepdaughter. That's how he might refer to her. But he was never married to Madeline Soto's mother. Madeline Soto's mother is Jennifer Soto. They lived together in Florida. Stephan Sterns and Jennifer were on again, off again, whatever they were. Maddie Soto was Jennifer's 13-year-old daughter. She went missing, quote unquote missing, and all of a sudden it was determined that Stephan Sterns was responsible for her going missing and doing bad things to her. So now he's finally paying the price. Okay, he's been convicted. He didn't go through a trial. He didn't want the death penalty, so he, kind of copped a plea, pled no contest, but anyway, he was sentenced. So he will spend the rest of his life in prison for doing away with Maddie, but, now he's in great fear for his life. I mean, Jumpsuit Pablo, the YouTuber, he was obviously correct because I wanted to confirm all the rumors going around. Stephan Sterns, has there been a hit put out on him and all this stuff? And according to the official paperwork, it looks like it's that way. So he was transferred. Stephan Sterns was in the Osceola County Jail. He went to the Central Florida Reception Center in Orlando sometime around July 23rd. And then he went on to the Wakulla, I guess you pronounce it that way, Wakulla Annex on September 8th, 2025. So we've got, new booking photos showing his completely shorn head of hair. He had a lot of nice hair, but I don't know why it's all shaved off. Maybe it's something they have to do to prevent lice or something. I have no idea. I got a lot of paperwork from the FDOC. They actually made me pay like $61.50. I thought, are they going to send me more transport videos or what? But it seems like just a lot of paperwork. So I'm throwing that in with other paperwork I got from Osceola County Corrections. You'll find me linked to it all below because I wanted to know all the latest. I'll put a link to those from my Patreon below. It includes Stephan Sterns' inmate jail file, a lot of stuff then about him, skipping meals or not taking showers during certain times. He got in trouble that time for giving a different inmate or letting a different inmate use his PIN number, something like that. All of that is in there. His full commissary history. So you'll see all the stuff his parents went through, other people went through to purchase for Sterns. I know he got a radio. It's in there somewhere. Rumors have it that his radio may have been smashed. I don't know if that part is true, but we will see some of his property, a list of it. You'll see what he got back, what he didn't, and all that stuff. And I was noting his parents moved away. You might remember that body cam video. We recently received it and we saw Stephan Sterns' mom kind of going off, going crazy. It was right around the time Maddie was still missing, and that house is where they used to live, I guess, has become kind of well known. Maybe that's why they moved. I have no idea. Of course, I'm not going to tell you their address or anything like that. I'm not going to dox them, but I will say that perhaps that house where the cops arrived and, talked to Stephan Sterns' mom, and she's like going off about what she found in Stephan Sterns' room and all this crazy stuff, maybe it got too popular. Maybe it was too well known. She even complained in that video about, a reporter was here and he can come in the backyard if they want and they can get bit by a dog or whatever she was saying. So no wonder they moved. So his parents moved 2.5 hours away from their home that was featured in the body cam videos. So I guess it's a little bit closer to Sterns than they used to live. When Sterns was in that Orlando area reception center, I don't know, what was he there for, a month or something maybe? I don't know if they were allowed to visit him there. I should check into that. I'm not sure if you can request that place, but I'll try. I guess the new place where they have moved, I saw it as of July. I guess it's closer to Sterns where he is now than where they used to live. It's still like a 4-hour drive to Crawfordsville. That's where the Wakulla place is, annex or whatever. So I don't know if they're making that drive. I mean, if they had stayed in their older home, they would have had, what, a 5 or more hour drive to go see him. I don't know if they're visiting him at Wakulla anytime soon, though. Who knows?
Catch your breath. Catch your breath. There's no breath.
Sterns was previously in the Osceola County Jail. Shortly after, Madeline went missing, and unfortunately then she was found not alive. And soon after that, it was March 1st, Sterns was taken straight to that Osceola County Jail. That's been, well, more than a year now. Speaking of which, every time I think of Sterns in jail, it reminds me that I'm still waiting for jail calls after all this time. I was hoping even to incorporate them into this video. But they will still come. We've paid for jail calls, I know I have, and I don't have them yet, but they keep promising me they're on the way. So we still have more evidence coming from Sterns' case, and evidence takes a while sometimes with some cases to come out. Just wait till you'll see all the evidence I just got in the James Craig case. I'm like, whoa, this one photo, I was like, ew, the way he's laying on the bed.
Huh?
He's that doctor who poisoned his wife with those smoothies. That'll be a lot to dig into, but thanks to a Patreon member of mine for actually asking for that evidence. So back to Sterns. He was in Osceola County. He was there March 1st, 2024. We saw his transport videos. His mom was literally talking about, getting mad at me. How did this crazy lady on YouTube get his transport videos? And everything he talked about, it was transcribed and all that stuff. She didn't understand the way public records worked. And then Sterns, too, he was whining and complaining about it being so cold in that jail. He didn't even have a pillow. He had to use a roll of toilet paper. Well, that was a different one. That was the one, when he was being transported from, Orange County Jail, I believe, to Osceola County. I think that's how it went. Yeah, so he was complaining the first night or two in jail about only having a roll of toilet paper. Oh my goodness, his core body temperature was dropping so much, and it just always trips me out when people are so self-focused. Was he sitting there thinking of what Maddie had suffered all those years? Came to an end. We don't know necessarily the circumstances of her ending, but because so many lies have been told, But it always kind of tripped me out when people just focus more on themselves rather than their victims are not really showing remorse. All Sterns has said is stuff like, I would have never wanted that for her. Or I came up there and she was no longer, she was already gone. Her face was pale or whatever, and she was cold or whatever he said without giving us the truth about what truly happened. And it leaves all this mystery. People are still looking at Jennifer Soto she still looks really sketchy in all this. But anyway, this Wakulla Correctional Institution is a prison located 20 miles southeast of Tallahassee, Florida. So that's the capital. That's up in the Panhandle. That's where I went to college, so I know exactly where Tallahassee is. And it's served the Wakulla County Jail, Correctional Institution, whatever, annex, it's served by the Crawfordsville, Florida Post Office. And I feel like I've been near Crawfordsville. It's so wild. Some of those Florida towns back in the day were so small. Not only did everyone have the same area code, everyone had the same first 3 digits of their number. So I met someone from some small town. It seems like it was near Crawfordsville. And she told me, this is such a small town. We don't even have to give each other our full 7-digit phone numbers. We only have to tell each other the last 4 digits, like 1024, because everyone knew the first parts. I thought that was so wild. Stuff you never see until you move like I moved from a big city, Chicago, down to Tallahassee to go to college, FAMU. Anyway, the attached Wakulla Correctional Institution Annex, so that's where Stephan Sterns is, was established in 2008. I don't know how that place is. I hear a variety of things. I think Stephan was afraid to go there because by August 19th, 2025, Sterns was writing his fears in his own handwriting. So let's go through some of these. Now, I see a statement here in one of these documents. I, Stephan Sterns, am in fear for my life and safety due to the nature of my charges and my high-profile status. You know, notice he doesn't spell it out what nature of his charges he's talking about. You know, I can't really say much here on YouTube, but you know what I mean. CSAM, horrible stuff, getting rid of Maddie. He wrote, I have received numerous threats and have good reason to fear. I am therefore requesting protection. So yeah, I don't know how much protection he got. I don't really know how that all works. You know, I've only kind of gone into prison ministry in my local county jail. As far as when it gets to prison, I'm not sure. But you'll see here, I see different little photographs of Stephan back when he first came in, had the full beard and, you know, the full hair. They've redacted some things. There's a checklist. There's like 110-page PDF. So you guys can go through all of that. I went through a lot of it. A lot of it's redacted too. You know, of course, when you want to get to the good stuff, they redact it. But it just shows, you know, his birth date, when he was released to a different agency, and all the process of moving him from one jail to a reception center, I guess, and then on to prison. So we just see inmate release. I mean, this is just the checklist and paperwork they had to go through once he was leaving Osceola County Jail. Like, I see a receipt for his property returned. So this was July 23rd, 2025. It's just showing all those huge amount of books his parents sent him. You know, he was a book fiend. Remember, he just loves reading. We've gone over a lot of that, all the long list of books he wanted his parents to check for. It says books, paperback, there's 40 of them. I remember reading somewhere in all these pages, Stephan Sterns had donated books to like the prison library or the inmate card or something. So his driver's license, his visa, his Orange County, some kind of check. I don't know what that is. Black wallet, his blue Orange County jail uniform. So it's listing his property. And now we just see him there with his like bald head against a blue background, and they even gave me some black and white photos. One's a profile. I wish I had that in color, and his straight ahead photo. And basically, I've gone through this. I was looking for anything interesting. Just his charges when he was sentenced, July 21st, 2025. Victim information. The photo taken date here is July 23rd, 2025. And again, that time he wrote about being in fear for his life and safety and requesting protection, that indeed was signed by him August 19th, 2025. So I believe at that point he was still in transit. He had been sentenced, and he must have still been in the Orlando kind of, you know, reception place where they check you out. I think they do a bunch of stuff to make sure you're, I guess, ready for prison or something. And then I found this interesting too. Narrative of reason requesting protection for inmate Sterns. It says medical documentation, diagram of injury shows no injuries per medical staff. So I guess they have to like check him out and see if he's injured or if anything has happened yet. You know, that's one thing. I was watching Jumpsuit Pablo, and he was saying, I've linked to a couple of his videos below too. He was saying, you know, you don't necessarily just get protection willy-nilly just because you're requesting it. Some inmates maybe only get protection after they've been injured, which is kind of weird, but it was very interesting, his insight to this stuff. So it says Sterns has no injuries per medical staff. I don't know what date this was dated. According to this protection request, Officer Turner interviewed inmate Sterns, Stephan, for protection needs. So he's been interviewed. Inmate Sterns states that he is in fear of his life of the blank. So that's been redacted. Now there, maybe they mentioned a specific person or a specific gang, a gang most likely. So Jumpsuit Pablo has some ideas about who really is after Sterns. Inmate Sterns states that he was made aware that the blank placed a hit on him due to his charges. So that's what is being said. Inmate Sterns states that upon arriving to Appalachia, the inmates here began to threaten him due to his case being a high-profile case and them seeing him on the news. So indeed, they do say the inmates sit around and they watch a lot of the news, and if one of them, a local person is making it to the news and their charges are well known, because again, I think that's one of the rules I've heard of jails or perhaps even prisons. You don't necessarily come in there like, hey, what are you in for? You never ask people, what are you in for? What are you in for? Maybe it's if they are willing to tell you what they were charged with, what they were convicted. That's one thing, but it's something you don't ask. But imagine Sterns is up there on the news, all of his charges, all of his wrongdoings are out there for everyone to see, so they automatically know, so he's more of a target. Inmate Sterns states that he was advised if he does not get off the compound, he will be killed, basically. That's what it says. So when was he in Appalachia? That's one thing I'm trying to figure out too. It's like all these different places. I think Orange County first, Osceola, Appalachia, and then perhaps Wakulla. Is Appalachia the same as the processing center? That's what's confusing me.
No.
Inmate Sterns voluntarily completed a DC-6 112C witness statement form. Review of GTL Securus phone calls were reviewed during this investigation and no sustainable evidence could be identified in this investigation. So I want to get these phone calls too. I would love to hear these GTL Securus phone calls. 1 minute left. They reviewed them, I don't know for what period, and they're saying no sustainable evidence could be identified in this investigation. So I don't know, is this really true? Is this, rumors, how it can fold in upon itself? It can become so circular. Did someone whisper a hint of, oh yeah, they'll probably hate Sterns there. He'll probably need protection. Maybe they'll put a hit out on him. And did it become this thing where it became full circle where Sterns may have heard about, oh, the YouTube video says this, so maybe, and then he's talking about it and maybe they couldn't find exact evidence of it. Is there really a hit out on him? I don't know, but obviously they're investigating it. Obviously Stephan Sterns heard about it somehow. It says inmate Sterns will remain in administrative confinement pending a review from ICT. Okay, so it does have a conclusion. During the investigation process, I discovered inmate Sterns has no prior protection placements due to his prison term beginning on July 23rd. However, on July 25th, 2025, inmate Sterns was placed under investigation due to having a high-profile case per CDC. It can be confirmed that inmate Sterns' case did make it to the national news. Inmate Sterns could not provide names for the inmates who threatened him due to being placed under protection the same day he arrived to Appalachia. Okay, so I'm trying to figure out the dates of the previous videos. I want to see when did Sterns exactly get these threats? Let's see if I can find out here because I'm curious now. Okay, there was a big video, Jumpsuit Pablo, 4 months ago. Well, see, that was May 4th. That was before all of this. May 4th, 2025. Jumpsuit Pablo has a video that says, Stephan Sterns has jackpot on his head by prison inmates. Video threat. And there was a guy all covered up making some kind of threat. So that's what I'm wondering. Was Sterns talking about that particular video or something different? He had just gotten to Appalachia, apparently. I don't know. On July 25th, 2025, Sterns was placed under investigation. Okay, he made the news, blah, blah, blah. But Sterns could not provide names for the inmates who threatened him. due to being placed under protection the same day he arrived to Appalachia. And you know what? We know his parents like to watch YouTubers as much as they deride, as much as his parents deride us true crime YouTubers and call us names or whatever. We know the heck they're watching. And so part of me wonders too, did his parents watch Jumpsuit Pablo? Did they then go on to say, Stephan, someone's threatening your life? Or how did he find out about it? And is that why truly he couldn't give up any names? And of course, I'm sure he probably didn't have any inmates' names. But if he did, maybe he didn't want to snitch on a specific person. Obviously, it sounds like Stephan snitched on a specific group because the redaction, the way it's worded, it sounds like, oh, the so-and-sos are after you, I always think of like the Woods. I was like, what does Woods mean, in terms of prison? And it stands for whites only something something. I can't remember the rest. Whomever it is, it's like the so-and-sos, reminds me of the Warriors did it. Warriors. Remember that guy who had those bottles come out to play? Those were gang movies way back in the 70s. Anyway, let's just say the Warriors, maybe Sterns heard from someone, oh, it's really the Warriors. I don't know. His parents probably maybe watched the videos. And there was another one done, but that was more recent. I want to check the date of that other video. Jumpsuit Pablo did another video. Try not to shake the camera too much. It was titled Stephan Sterns Begs for Help, First Week in Prison. And so I'm wondering, what date was this one done? I'm trying to match up the dates here with these requests he put in. So that was just a month ago, August 6th, 2025. Okay, so that's getting closer. So that had more information in that one. More specific details, perhaps, about which group might be after Sterns. I gotta remember. Anyway, go watch Jumpsuit Pablo. He has great insight into this. And if you want to read all these documents, again, I'll load them all up on Patreon because there's a lot. And of course, I wish it wasn't all redacted. But he was in fear for his life. I don't know how much protection Sterns has gotten. Obviously, they interviewed him. They checked for injuries. They must not have found any. How much protection will he get? I don't know. It says high profile case on this one document and a staff member, and it does talk about what inmate Sterns did to his girlfriend's 13-year-old daughter in February 2024. The case made national news. My stomach's growling. So there's interesting snippets. There's an incident report that explains what he did when he shouldn't have given up that PIN number. This happened apparently August 19th, 2025. Sergeant Maddox was assigned as use of force coordinator. At approximately noon, I was advised by inmate Sterns that he was in fear for his life. Okay, so this is not the PIN incident. I know I have that somewhere. So this is from Appalachia Correctional Institution, and I must have gotten this I FOIA so many different prisons and people, I can get them all mixed up, but you'll see who got what and who gave me what. So this is, again, August 19th, the same date as his written report from the DOC, incident report. Appalachia is the reporting institution. Okay, so this is saying, look, he's in fear for his life due to the nature, again, of his charges. He's receiving numerous threats. It was explained to Sterns that he would be placed on protective management status until a complete investigation could be conducted and reviewed by the ICT team. So yeah, there it is. I conducted a review of inmate Sterns' previous PIN history, and it is attached for review. The report will be forwarded. So maybe they might be kind of referencing that incident with Stephan Sterns and the PIN number he wasn't supposed to give away. Other than that, I don't think they found anything concrete that we know about with these threats of Sterns. Maybe it's just talk, maybe it's really real. Sometimes it's just talk, and we heard the same about Chris Watts, and that's why he was transferred from Colorado to Wisconsin, I believe in part to try and keep him safe. Yeah, so we don't know. And there's this corrections offender network. It's just basically another photo, his current facility, sentenced to life. So anyway, dig through the documents as much as you want to. I like to keep up with what's happened in certain cases that we've followed so closely, given updates on. So I was really interested in seeing, okay, where is Sterns? Where did he go? What's up with these threats? Is it true? Is it not? I don't know. Remember, someone took out Jeffrey Dahmer. So stuff like this can happen. And I still do feel sorry for his parents because, of course, if his parents had no idea of what was going on at all, and they didn't ask for a son who turned out like this, then it's got to be hard for a parent hearing this kind of stuff on the news or watching YouTube videos about threats to their son's life. But I just wish Stephan would have taken the same care and concern about Maddie's life that he did of his own. I hope he really is saved now. He did talk a lot on those jail calls. I want to hear more. That's why I want to hear more. And these should be the ones more towards the beginning of his jail time, right after he was arrested. Those should be pretty interesting whenever I finally get them. Don't worry, I'll pop them up. We'll go over them together. But I hope, he's not just putting this jailhouse religion or maybe prison faith or whatever, anything that's not real. I hope it's real. Like Romans 10:9 says, "For if you tell others with your own mouth that Jesus Christ is your Lord, and believe in your heart that God has raised him from the dead, you will be saved." And that's truth. Like, it's not about Sterns just trying to put on this image of, oh, I'm so sorry, and I'm praying for God to deliver me. And, I go through a lot of these jail calls or crime cases, and, you see a person just living like hell when they're out in the world. Everyone be damned. Who cares about this? Who cares about that? And then when they get caught and they're like, trapped, basically, they have to stay still, they're in prison, then some of them, they really amp up the God talk. But it's like, don't just do it because you think you can play God like a trick pony and he'll get you out of jail or prison or something. Like, it's got to be for real, because Stephan's life could be taken any day. So he's got to really realize where he's going. If he wants to go to heaven, I think all of us would want to, then take it to heart, really confess Jesus as his Lord and Savior and speak about it. Make it true. Maybe it's true with Chris Watts. Who am I again to say? I can't see a person's heart. You can only see the fruits of it. And sometimes the fruits of what you see are people just trying to play you. They're just trying to talk a good game without their heart really being there. But God can see inside all of our hearts. So I hope his heart is saved now. I hope he has true repentance, true regret. And a lot of times that comes with the truth. It just comes with him literally confessing and not playing games about, oh, yeah, I just came back in the room and she was already gone. And, oh, I don't know. And Jennifer was downstairs asleep. And, just kind of playing all these games like that make you kind of question what really happened. To me, that's not real belief. That's not real Christianity. That's all I have, I think, on Stephan. I might do updates, how I like to do, even with Chris Watts, to see who was visiting him. Cases I covered, 7 years ago. Like, I get still so fascinated in thinking about the victims, thinking about how old different victims would be now. You kind of your mind kind of goes there. Even I remember looking at Chad Dorman, looking him up and just seeing his mugshot. He took away his 3 boys, or thinking about the survivors, how they're doing, how they are coping. So I like to kind of at least ever so often go over what's the inmate going through, what would their victims be doing now, any other person who's involved in the periphery of the crime, or thinking about the loved ones, praying for everyone to just be saved. It's got to be horrific. So I think that's it for Stephan Sterns. But yeah, stay tuned for all this James Craig stuff. It's a lot of stuff. It looks pretty interesting, so might take me a while to get through. Maybe I'll put it up piecemeal. That's why I try not to promise stuff, because one woman show, me, God, and Jesus trying to get all this done. Sometimes I know I bite off more than I can chew. Like when I really wanted to read through like all 500 and something pages of the Brian Koberger files, and it just got overwhelming, and it's just so much stuff. But I still want to get up as much as I can, to follow through on what I told you I'd do. And we'll see where we can go from there. And honor your request too, because I got a request from a Patreon member about getting the James Craig evidence, and so that's why I got that too. So let's just see what we can get through. It might be a lot of cases, but let's get through as many as we can and just keep up with old ones, new ones, and everything. Thank you so much for watching. Take care. Woo!